Hi, folks. Thought I would chat a little bit about South Africa, and yeah, just in regards to the other day, the country, well, not the country, here in Durban, where the city where I live, there was a protest where they blocked the main highway, one of the main highways, both lane, or both in both directions, and they brought the traffic to a halt for a number of hours. What was the protest about? What was the pushback about? It was the artists and some celebrities saying to the government that they want, 70% capacity in the arenas or wherever they do sort of parties or they throw parties or something like that. I'm not sure about the clubs. I'm not even sure what exactly it was about, but that's what it was aimed at. It was that, they wanted to be able to have festivals and whatever is of the 70% capacity, and it made news headlines, front page, and and that was that, and that's been it. That has been really there's been a biker protest, which is against a lot of bikers got together, which is I think quite a successful protest in awareness for the farm murders that are going on, right? Which is horrendous. It's an absolute appalling. I mean, just how many people will die brutally at the hands of these, I don't know, farm-related murders. It's hacked to death. Horrible, horrible, horrible stories. And people on farms and a lot. Anyways, that's so that was something else. But in regards to lockdown measures and things like that, that's been the only protest I would say from the whole of South Africa. Now, I mean, was the locking down the highway for music, to have music events basically. Now again, I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm not saying it's not right. I'm not saying it's not necessary for people to do that. But is that the best this country can do? The best that the people can do of this country? Now there are other things going on. There's something that I'm part of a group called Move 1 Million, and it's on Facebook. And I attended my first protest today. I mean, there wasn't much to it. It was about 100 people walking on the promenade with placards, and it's in initial stages, so it's getting there. And it was nice. There was much to it, but to think that this, I think it was on Thursday or Wednesday, that they had this when they blocked the highways. The police arrived with rubber bullets, shot up at the air, arrested one or two people, and then everybody else ran away. But like that was it. It's like, so hold on. Out of all the regulations, out of all the restrictions, out of all the protocols of having your jobs taken away, of no alcohol or cigarettes. I think it was a hell of a long time for tobacco. Alcohol was banned, then they unbanned it, and they banned it again. Whatever it is, they just no inter provincial travel. I mean, the government, the corruption. What's come out of the good thing that's come out of the CV story here is that the corruption of this government is now like full blown. It's completely out there. I mean, everybody knew it, but didn't realize how bad it was. Like, because it's supposed with this pandemic, it was like, the PPE, the protection, I don't know, the safety, the masks, whatever it was, like massive corruption on that, that it didn't, a lot of it just disappeared, or the tenders, a lot of money went missing, in the hundreds of millions went missing. Like again, the food parcels that were stolen by the municipalities, the local municipalities, the food parcels are supposed to serve the hungry, to feed the hungry, whatever it is. The people just kept it in their houses and sold it on. Like the levels of inhumanity, immorality. There's a UIF, or maybe it's like a worldwide thing. I don't know. I don't even know what it stands for, the UIF, but basically the government, or part of the government, paid for the people, their basic salary, not their full salary, but like a very basic for the people that weren't employed. It was found out the other day, my mother was telling me, 25 billion rand disappeared in corruption money. This is money that's supposed to go for people who aren't employed, so they can feed their family, they can feed themselves. This money is going to, again, a very few individuals who can buy themselves more mansions around the world, like fancier cars and more expensive handbags and whatever it is. I know that corruption is not only exclusive to South Africa. I was watching this documentary on Venezuela. It is so appalling. It is just so hurtful. It's just so immoral. You just can't understand how people can behave this way. And like for power, for money, for control, and again just greed, just absolute greed, absolute greed. Anyway, so I mean, there's so much coming to the light now, the forefront of this government of the ANC government here in South Africa, and again how it sold out its own people. I mean, Desmond Tutu said that the South Africans were better off during the apartheid rule than they are now. But this is what he said a while ago. And they don't care the legacy of Mandela or what the people went through or they suffered. They have no regard whatsoever. When you go into this and you look at the documentaries that they have here on the smaller sort of towns outside of the major cities, the municipalities, like the mayor of the town, I don't know what you want to call it, or the premier or something, I'm not even sure what the political names are. Like they're driving around with security guards, the car guards, a car in front of them, whatever, one of these expensive souped up cars, themselves, whatever it is. Wherever they go, they have bodyguards, which is not really necessary, but they have bodyguards because otherwise the people will take them out. I mean, they have literally robbed the people, like when you go into the details of it, like there was this conference room that cost 1.5 million rand to design. And it looks like something that could have been designed for like 30,000 or 50,000 or something like that. Even the pictures of the presidents and the prime ministers of the country were put up skew. Like the whole thing just looks like it's going to crumble at any minute, But, things like that. And so you just see the level of it, and that goes into it. And the premier who's just smiling, whatever it is, or I don't know what you want to call it, the politician with no feel, no nothing. You can't understand the inhumanity about it. Now, I'm not talking about the elites. I'm not talking about the establishment, the global cabal, or whatever it is. That's a different story. I'm talking about your average Joe on the street, right? In a sense, your average Joe, whatever it is. And how the evil that runs through them, how deep it goes, right? So it's not just the cabal and whatever it is, but it's just, it's your modern man a lot of the times. Your modern, person, whatever, I don't know, immoral, and around the whole world, folks. South Africa's just has its own thing, but around the world. And so the people, come back to the people, like the only thing that you're willing to stand up against and block the highway for is so you can have bigger music, so you can bring back the music festivals, which is fun, great. People, I'm not saying against it, but that's all you can do after all the beatings that you've taken, the abuse that you've taken, the betrayal that you've taken. It's just the best you can do. People just want to dance. They just want to drink. They just want to twerk, baby. They just want to twerk. That's it. Give me my beer. Give me my music. Give me my makeup. Give me my phone. Give me my social medias, whatever it is. Give me all of this. Sedate me, and I don't care. I don't care about the tyrants. I don't care about the wolves. I need these things because this is the only thing in my life that makes sense. This is the only thing I really want to do. I'm telling you. Well, I'm talking about in this country for a lot of people. They don't want to take responsibility. What would they do with a new government who wasn't corrupt and said, okay, look, we demand that you get to work here. Here's your jobs. We don't want stealing, right? In your jobs. Okay, we want you to be on time. We want you to be responsible. Like talking to children. For majority of the people in this country, there are definitely hard workers. There's no question about it. But I can tell you that for majority of the country, they just don't care. They're completely apathetic. They're like children. Okay? And the whole world is like children. There's no Arrested Development. I've spoken about this before, but it's hard to see that in a way, because our own apathy brings on the darkness in that way, and the priorities. I was speaking to a lady the other day. You see, because the thing is that it's a spiritual problem. All of this, it's a spiritual thing. I've realized more so. I was speaking to a lady the other day. And I said to her, like, what do you think happens when we die? She says, no, we don't really die. I don't understand her. She's a black lady. She says, no, we're just born into, like, the next... she hasn't really thought about it, I could see. But she says she doesn't really believe in heaven or hell or whatever it is. She just kind of reincarnates Your energy just goes into. I don't even understand what she was saying. Now that's not the general rule, but what I'm saying is that when you got an ethos, when you got a, like your concept or your thinking or your belief is based on, because she was saying like what you do, you just don't want to, when you leave, when your energy gets put into the next child that's born or something like that, you just don't want to have it, you give it a negative energy. And I was like saying, what's the difference, and you just question after question, and just kind of, she didn't stand a chance. It just doesn't make sense. Like, there's something you haven't thought about, you don't want to know about. And she said, well, why do I need to know about it? Like, why do I even need to care if there is a heaven, or if there's, I can't know for sure, you know? What's the difference? I said, because you don't know what's wrong or right then. You don't have morality, you don't have purpose, right? And I said to her, like, she says, I don't want to know if there's a devil. I said, but what about the devil that lives in you? She said, what devil lives in me? I said, well, there's a devil that lives in you, and there's an angel that lives in you. There's a wolf that lives in you, and there's a saint and there's a sinner in you. But you don't want to know that, You don't want to know the duality of things, okay? You don't want to know the responsibility, whatever it is that lies within. So how is it that you don't even know how? Because also I said to her, imagine you got to heaven, right? She said, well, then that's how the conversation started. She stopped me and she said, well, I don't really believe in heaven. So I said, okay, do you believe in Jesus? Yes, she believes in Jesus. Okay, so I don't know how this works. Okay, it doesn't have to be a black lady, it can be a white lady, it can be an Indian, it doesn't matter, right? I just happen to spend a lot of more of my time with black people. And so what happens if you get to heaven, or Jesus, you die and Jesus is there? Okay, let's just say, I'm just saying to her. And he says to you, did you help others in your life? Did you go the extra mile? Because I spent some time with this woman, and she's seen me like going out of my way to give a few coins to the people at the traffic lights, or, I'm no saint, but I just feel responsible, and I feel like the more you can give and go out of your way to give with boundaries, the better off of a person that you are, the better that you don't have to have regret when you do get to heaven. And God asks you, or your angels, your higher guides ask you, like, listen, did you help your fellow brother and sister? Did you help those in need? I mean, did you do your part? And if I can't say, did you do it well? And if I can't say, yes, I did it well, with a clear conscience, I'd feel terrible. It would hurt my soul terribly to feel like, nah, I didn't really pay attention to what needed to be done, what needed, something like that. It was like, no, I would have terrible regret and time wasted, and just absolute shame I would feel, because I hoarded to myself. I didn't see my fellow, dumbed down, arrested development. That's it. People are dumb. It's terrible to call to say this word dumb, but that's also another talk about just how dumbed down people are, how idiotic and stupid and low IQ people are. Yet, I will still go out of my way to respect them and to help them and whatever it is, I'm saying where I can. Not that I have expectation that they will repay it back to me, type of thing. Again, because, that's something else. But, so I said to this woman, she was like, it doesn't, well, first, but she had no cosmology. Not is that the word? She had no ethos. She had no thinking of like that there is anything after death, that there is anything really spiritual in a way. You just get reborn in a baby's body. I said, do you know that it's you? She says, I don't know. I said, then how do you know who you are? These were questions where she was way over her ability to think about, and although she wanted to think about it. Why? Because it's too much of a mystery, it's too difficult, it's too complicated, it's too scary. It's just too scary. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to admit that I don't know, right? I don't want to think about it. I don't want to be troubled by it. It's troubling thoughts. I just want to go out, put my makeup on, party with my friends, whatever, that's what I want. I just want to be up to date with the Kardashians. That's what I want. Like, that's the only thing that's going for me. And that is the only thing. So they haven't got anything really that's a spiritual idea. A lot of the time, like, especially with African people that I found, like, a lot of the time when it's spiritual, or whatever it is, deal with the ancestors or the sangomas, the witch doctors, it's generally about, like, medicine and, like, trying to poison your enemy, trying to have the lightning bolt hit them, and or whatever it is, or steal their food with a lightning bolt. I mean, they believe unbelievable things, right? A lot of it is just way too much superstition for me. I mean, I've done a lot of research on it and asked questions, and I mean, I've heard of people telling me they've seen a guy turn into an orange ball, a bouncing ball, and bounced away when his enemies came. Like, anyway, maybe anyway. So I mean, if shamans did turn into wolves or eagles to take flight, But besides the point, so that's the biggest thing that's missing, is that there is there's no more spirit anymore. Spirit, a relationship with the divine, relationship with God, relationship, and that's it, with the metaphysical, with the spiritual, whatever it is. If there's no relationship to that, if there's no connection to that, then there is no morality, then there is no reason or rhyme for any of this. And you can steal from your neighbor, you can steal from the hungry. That's the problem. It's a spiritual crisis. It's a consciousness crisis that's going on, right? I mean, people are wounded, traumatized, abused, broken, right? And corrupt. And all of these things, and self-abandoned, and that's the biggest thing as well. They've rejected themselves. They've rejected the divinity within themselves, right? And so I think that's one of the major problems that's going on in the world today. And I think the whole CV story and the corruption, and I'll do a talk on it, and what I think has been the number one purpose of the CV story, right? I mean, there's many, it's multi-layered, and I'll get into it, but essentially it's about abandonment, and it's about betrayal, more so about betrayal. This whole thing has been about betrayal. From the very beginning, it's designed to have betrayal. But so people have been betrayed to such a degree that most people have given up. It's broken the people's will. People's will were broken before, but now even more so. Even more so. And so the thing is that, again, that's what I think is obviously missing in the world on the fundamental level, is the spiritual, is, the godliness. I mean, this woman who I was speaking to, she goes to church every now and again. She prays to Jesus. And I say, why do you go? She says, it makes me feel good about myself. Like, I feel like I cleanse myself. I say, what do you do at church? No, we just sing and we just praise Jesus. And it's simple, and that's fine. Great, right? But, like, it's not mature. It's not being responsible. It's being childish. And that's, people don't want to grow up. They don't want to grow up. They don't want to see in themselves the dark and the light, right? The sheep and the wolf. They don't want to know their own pain. They don't want to know discomfort. They don't want to know duality. They don't want to know anything that's below the surface or beyond the eyes or the five senses. They don't want to know it. They are petrified of it. And that's why they do belong to, the dark side. They are the children of the fallen angels, if you want to put it that way. That's the choice, I think, that we have, that we come here to make. Which side are you going to take? Which side are you going to choose? And again, the average Joe on the street doesn't have to become, politically motivated. They don't have to have any politics. They don't have to. I'm talking about a person who lives in a shack, right, in a mud hut, without any running water, without any electricity. Not that electricity is such a great thing. It's like, electricity, I've just seen it wreck and ruin villages. As soon as the electricity is in, boom, the television comes on, the satellite dish comes outside the house. The next thing, all the children that were playing in the garden and, in the roads, in the streets, in each other's houses, are all glued to the TV, watching Ben 10, and watching all this crap, and all this porno music videos. Oh, we don't have electricity. We need electricity. I mean, come on. What good does electricity do for a lot of people? If you got your cell phone, okay, you can charge your cell phone. Not hard. If you want to buy solar, whatever. That's a whole other question. Because you can say, well, look at me. I'm so privileged. Yes, but at the same time, I'm so cursed. So, it's. But that's not what it's about. Anyways, I'm going off on tangents in other directions. But as Paul Romano of Pockets of the Future always says, only spirituality will save this world. And he says that in almost every single video of his. And I sincerely believe that. But so what I was coming to say was, but the point was obvious that even somebody wherever they may be in the world can connect to their feeling of right and wrong to some degree. They don't have to be politically motivated. They don't have to stand up for their rights if they don't know what it is. They don't have to. They just have to be present with themselves and I don't know, start that journey within, the inner journey, see themselves, ask themselves the questions: why? Who am I? What's going on? What am I doing here? What am I doing here? That is available to every single person, right? I really believe, not every, I mean, maybe there's always exceptions to the rule, but every person to a large degree, well, what am I doing here? What is my purpose? Type of thing. Just ask that question and start from there. It doesn't matter if you're living in a mud hut, wearing a loincloth or whatever it is that it is, and you're so, what's it called? Not privileged or something like that. I don't know, folks. We live in a mystery. It's a puzzle. There's so many truth drops or answers. There's so much beauty. There's so much misery. There's just so much going on. The moment is so rich. Is so loaded, so jam-packed. You go to sleep at night, you dream, you're living somewhere else, you're swimming underwater, you're living underwater, you're dancing with your high school sweetheart when you're 60, but you're 60 years old in real life. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The mystery of it, the bizarreness of it. The other day I had this dream about a girl that I was friendly with named Jay. Had a little crush on her. And I must have been maybe in my early 20s or something like that. And I had an intense dream about it, and I was wondering, why was I dreaming about Jay? What was the connection? And when I went to the loo in the morning, the newspaper was lying in front of the toilet, whatever it was, and there was a woman that was probably in her 60s who the day before I said that woman would probably look what Jay would look like when she's 60. And from that, a whole story, a whole world opened up in my dream state, from my psyche, right, with so much other things going on. A whole narrative. Where did that come from, right? Where did that come from? And so what I'm saying is that in the same space is personality coming from, is ego coming from, is emotions coming from, is intuition coming from, right? All of this, the questions are coming from, the intentions are coming from, all of this stuff. It's there. The depths is there. And once we start peeling the layers back, and once we start being present, and we start delving in just a little bit, diving in, putting our feet further into the pool, up to our ankles and up to our knees, it starts to unravel. And I think it's available for everybody in their own way. And this is the choice. We come here to make that choice, right? But it's a hard choice to make. And even though we're not educated in the choice, even though a lot of the time we put in the opposite direction of that there is even a choice, I don't know, I like to think that it's all fair play, that each person has that choice. And again, not to become shamans, not to become philosophers or psychologists or astrologers or occultists or something or other, right? But just become more of a centered human being, a trustworthy human being, a present human being, not so much of a dreamer, right? Somebody that has a little bit of integrity, that they've got a spark in their eye, and a song in their heart, and you can feel it when you see it, and they're just beautiful, and they're just beautiful individuals. Very, very few of them around anymore, I seem to find, barely ever if I come across. Really, it's a drought, it's a famine, it's a spiritual famine out there. That's what sometimes doesn't keep me up at night, but puts the hair on the back of my head, neck standing up. Like how dumbed down this world is, how materialistic it is, how corrupt the people's minds are, how childish they are, how just, it's horrific, folks. It's just like, oh my word. And the CV story has exposed that to a large degree, and it showed us really where people are holding, how gullible they are, how manipulative they can be, how codependent they are. It's frightening. That's what's come about. It's absolutely frightening. I never knew it was to this degree. Alright, folks, running out of space here on my phone. Thank you for participating, viewing, taking the time. We'll chat soon. Take care.